I've got 4 words for you. The lineup is back. Welcome to the spring semester of shows alongside Joel Pelachik and Ryan Croke. I'm Jake Bowen, and guys, if any of our audience has followed us for the past semester, we've been talking all of college football, so why not dive back into that world today? Yesterday, the national championship took place. Indiana came out with the victory over Miami, 27-21. And Joel, what a historic year for Indiana and this program. What are your initial reactions from last night's victory?
Listen, I can't get over the fact of the roster that Indiana has. We can talk about the turnaround, and we're going to, but 0 5-stars on this team, and I think maybe even more impressive than that, only 7 4-stars. I mean, this is a group, they really don't have much, real star power. And Fernando Mendoza has said it multiple times, it's a group of misfits. And they just came together, they're glued together, and they did what people probably thought was the impossible. I mean, Indiana has the most losses with 715, I believe, in FBS college football, and they just won the national championship.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of, to put it simply, the greatest stories we've seen in the history of professional, not even professional and sports in general, collegiate, pro, whatever level you can think of.
I can't think of a better term.
Sports on the national scale, sports at the national level. It's just unbelievable what Curt Cignetti's done in 2 years with the Hoosiers. Just unfathomable stuff for a program, like you mentioned, the losingest in FBS history, to go from where they have been historically to where they are now in such a quick turnaround. I think he's just such a unique fit for this era of college football, and it's such a different strategy from what we see a lot of coaches taking. You hear a lot about transfer portal, NIL, all this stuff, as a way for coaches to sort of pay the best players available. Well, like you mentioned, Joel, this is a team that does not have the most talent in the world by any means. They're ranked 72nd on 24/7 Sports composite talent rating list. There's not even 72 Power 4 teams. So there are non-Power 4 teams ahead of them in terms of the talent ranking by 24/7 Sports, and they just won the national championship, 16-0 season. One of the most remarkable things we'll ever see in sports. I don't think that can get glossed over.
Yeah, plus 10,000 odds to win the national championship coming into the season. I want to reflect on what you said about no 5-star recruits. In a college era now where NIL is so dominant and these schools is just the highest bidder, and a lot of them in the SEC, Indiana's a program that's showing there's still that little light at the end of the tunnel that shows that programs that really had nothing can still rebuild and get back to that championship.
Yeah, well, to be fair, Indiana's
level.
a very well-funded program, even if it's not the
Mr. Mark Cuban
historic program that other SEC schools and Big Ten schools are. It's still a very well-funded program. But again, like you mentioned, 0 5-stars. They're not getting the same. They don't have the same historic draw that these other top schools do. And talk about Cignetti's approach. I mean, the strategy is simple. Maybe don't pay for the 5-star freshman transfer, but go after the guy who's had experience, who's played for several years at the college level, and is going to be a tough, get dirty, muck 'em up type of player. And that's what this Indiana team has built its identity off of, and that's why they won the national championship. I mean, Miami got to the championship game by simply being more physical than everybody they played. They ran into Indiana, who showed 2 can play at that game, and they outplayed the Canes in this one.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they just went for experience in the portal. And Curt Cignetti, I mean, it sounds simple on paper, go for experience, but that man can evaluate talent.
Yep.
I mean, he was a coach at Alabama, obviously a position coach, and he never got an opportunity to rise in the rankings there. He knows what talent is. He's been around it, and yeah, it's just incredible. And obviously, they're funded very well, like you said, but I really think, going back to what you said, Jake, it is a light at the end of the tunnel in a very, there's a lot of questions around this era of college football, and I think what Indiana is doing proves that if you put the time and the resources into the portal, anything can happen, and it really shows the good side of NIL in the portal. I really think it does.
Well, one player, Ryan, that Indiana got that has really been able to put his feet in the mud and drag this team to the promised land has been Fernando Mendoza. Not the most, crazy dude with his name out there, but 2 years at Cal, comes to Indiana, had a great season, not the best championship game, but when it mattered most, a 12-yard run, and then to dive at the end.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about a guy having a Heisman moment. Even though he already won the award, that was his Heisman moment. That's a play that's never going to be forgotten. And I know you're a huge fan of him, Jake. Really, I haven't heard you talk much about him since before the Raiders somehow ended up with the number 1 pick. I wonder if those two things are correlated or not, but maybe that's neither here nor there. But that being said, I mean, this guy's just a phenomenal player. Great personality, one of the most likable athletes that we've seen who gets the name recognition that he does. Just a great story, a great team, and no better guy to lead them as the quarterback.
What a defining career moment. Yeah. I mean, listen, you could sit back and watch that game and say, I mean, he's not playing that well. He didn't play badly.
I thought he was very pedestrian.
Very pedestrian up until that point. But that run, I mean, what a way to sum up that Indiana season. They just fight. I mean, you saw it against Penn State. You saw it in Eugene. They fight, and they found a way to win. I mean, they destroyed Alabama. Just absolutely incredible. And talk about the story. I think you got to bring up Fernando Mendoza grew up a half mile from the Miami campus. I mean, he won that game. He wanted to go to Miami. At Cal the year prior, they came up just short, lost by a point. His own father was on the same high school team as Mario Cristobal. I mean, Hollywood can't write a better script than that.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at the Miami side real quick. The Hurricanes' first trip back to the national championship since 2002, 23-year drought. Huge props to them for making it back. They get in over Notre Dame, big controversy there, and then as a 10 seed, they go all the way to the national championship. The committee really looks happy, or really happy that they made that choice.
Yeah, well, you know who's also happy? Big game Carson Beck came back, and I'm feeling great because the Canes lost, and Carson Beck did what Carson Beck does. He plays solid football, but you always have it in the back of your mind, when's he gonna do something that costs his team the game? And it was waiting. Is it gonna happen? They're in the national championship. He hasn't cost anybody a game. He's been unbelievable. And then the pick. That was just an inexcusable throw. A great run for Miami. Very solid stuff out of this team. And again, like I said earlier, got to give credit where credit's due. A lot of doubters, including myself, and their abilities as a team. But one thing I'll say, if they had this in them all season, why are we losing 2 unranked games? Why are we losing the 2 unranked teams? And I'll still make the argument that Notre Dame should have gotten in over them at the time. Not saying that Miami I was wrong about Miami's quality of team. I still think their resume to get in was poor, but props to them. They did prove me wrong in my evaluation of them as a team in general.
Right, and I think you look at them, they did not have an easy draw. The 10 seed,
no.
They played away at Texas A&M, a team that
Frauds.
Notre Dame lost to at home in South Bend. Miami was able to go there and actually win, Jake, and they beat the Buckeyes. I mean, do you guys think there's a problem with the first round bye? I want to bring that up.
I think so. I think these college teams, these players are not used to having this much, especially you go through a whole season and now you have a week or 2 off and you're kind of resting and then you're like, okay, I got to go play another game. I think from an athlete standpoint, coaching not so much, but as a college athlete, you've already burnt that much energy and then you take a break. That momentum is broken up there.
I disagree. I think that there's already several weeks between the final regular season game and conference championship weekend. There's still plenty healthy of a break between conference championships and then the first round of the playoff beginning. So every team already gets a break. And I understand this whole argument. No matter what happens, there's going to be a disagreement. I think the solution is put those second round games on campus. You start putting those games out away from neutral sites. I understand the sponsorship aspect and you want to protect the bowl games. But give those at least the second round games so those first 4 teams that earned the first round bye also get an element of home field advantage. Because I think that would just improve also the viewing experience and the overall allure of the playoff in general.
Right, I agree. You take those 4 New Year's 6 bowl games, you push them to the first round, then you give the home advantage in the second, then you have the other 2 New Year's 6 on the rotation, and then the national championship, obviously.
Real quick, before we go, I do have some winners and losers from this college football playoff. Biggest winner who did not make the playoff? Penn State. Team that played Indiana the closest all season, fired James Franklin, and you get to say, man, we nearly beat that number 1 team that won it all, went 16-0.
You can't be closer to beating a team.
Correct.
You really
so
can't.
For Penn State to be the team that gave Indiana the most problems and to fire James Franklin in the single season, I don't think it gets much better than that. And the biggest loser, Notre Dame. They're sitting watching this Miami run going, are we serious? Are we serious? The committee put them in over us anyway. They feel like they got screwed over, and this is what Miami got to do. They think that they absolutely could have done the same. I don't, you can say what you will about Notre Dame. I think it's certainly on the board that they do.
Right. I completely agree. Just for the winners, I just had the Big Ten in general.
Yeah.
All the teams are going to get money from this playoff run from Indiana. It's as simple as that. And the loser, no matter what the outcome was of the playoffs, it's going to be Notre Dame. I mean, just with how that happened, and that stings. It really stings.
I don't have a loser, but I think all of college football wins seeing a team like Indiana go from the bottom to the top. Coming up next, we detail our AFC championship weekend, as well as recapping how we got there with a couple of AFC divisional matchups.